Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's webcast. It's a sunny day in Germany. We have participants from over 10 countries, from 26 different industries. I'm very excited to have you all here. It's 11 a.m. in Germany, it's 10 a.m. in the UK. Let's get started. Before we go to the presentation, I want to talk about some house rules of the day. As you can see on the right side of this window, there is a little window which enables you to vote and to comment and to ask questions. And I will post, in a couple of minutes, I'm going to post a poll where I'm going to ask you some question about your social media strategy and your social media KPIs. During the presentation, which is a pre-recorded presentation for a special reason, you can post all the questions that you have in mind, and I will be back after this broadcast to be live with you to discuss all the questions, to go through your material and answer all your questions. So don't worry. The reason why we pre-recorded the presentation is actually it enables me to focus on your questions and really be a better partner in the Q&A discussion later. So lean back, the next 24 minutes are just to digest the information, to eat the information basically, and see you in a couple of minutes. Thank you. Hello everybody. Are you having a social crisis of faith? Welcome to the Performly webinar, and it's all about measurement, it's all about how to evaluate the social media for your brands, and let's just directly jump into the topic. So when we talk to our clients in the year 2015, they have three major challenges. So challenge number one is there is too much content out there. We see that every time a Facebook user refreshes their newsfeed, up to 1,500 new posts, ads, comments, likes, everything is expressed to the user. So Facebook users actually are bombarded with content nowadays, and there's something like a content war going on, and it's very, very hard as a brand to get through to the fans and get through to Facebook users with organic content. So how bad is it? Are we having any chance to get through with organic content or not? We tried to find this out more than a year ago, and we analyzed our clients' Facebook pages, and this is what we found out. So when we looked at different industries, we found out that the organic visibility, meaning posts that are being seen by the fans of these brands, went down on an average to almost just 5%. Meaning that whenever a brand posted something on their fan page, only on average 5.04% of the fans actually saw the content. And this is pretty dramatic because we all spend a lot of time and a lot of thought on content quality, when to post, what is relevant content. So it's very, very sad that only 5% of our fans actually see the content. Meaning 95% of the fans will never even see the beautiful stuff that you post, the funny stuff that you post, all the information that you get out there to try to get feedback from your fans and get engagements from your fans. So this leads us to the second challenge that now is reality since last year, and in 2015 even more. Paid social ads are now a requirement. So in the past, most social media strategies actually were all about generating fans, building a reach through a larger fan base. But nowadays we see, even though we might have acquired a lot of fans, we only see very little engagement rate just because content is not seen by fans anymore as we used to have it. So this all began in 2014, and we have an example here where one of our clients who has a great content strategy posts lifestyle posts, updates his cover regularly, and various other content categories, only had very, very low organic reach, down there up to 8% in this case in 2014. And we just wanted to see, okay, how much different does it make if we put a little bit of media budget onto this? So we added a little money on 2 of these posts, and bam, we saw that the total reach, let's say the amount of paid reach, actually dominated, of course, the total reach. And now here, obviously, social media marketing starts to, is enjoyable because here we see a lot of impressions, and with the impressions also come the interactions and the engagements. So in this case, we saw up to 1,300 people that liked this post. So meaning without paid, you don't get anywhere today in social media. So social is not that social anymore. And meaning that a lot of social media strategies that were created in the last couple of years need to be thought over, need to be maybe revamped and updated in some way. So this was challenge number 2. And the biggest challenge of all is challenge number 3. We are lacking still fiscal metrics in social media. We have a lot of clients that say, yeah, we have likes, we have retweets, we have shares, but actually still in 2015, we have no idea what this is worth. And this makes their position very, very hard when they sit on the table and ask for budget, for content budget, for paid budget, also media budget. So why is this the case? This is the case because in the past, social media always liked to report what we call a soft ROI. So what a lot of marketeers have done in the past is they used arbitrary metrics like fans and followers from Facebook and YouTube and also Twitter, of course, to report to their CEO or to their CMO. So we always argued that social media is very good has good sentiment, is good for the brand awareness, is good for the brand image. So basically, we try to justify social media budgets with very, very soft KPIs. But actually, a CFO and a CMO, what do they really want to see? They want hard ROI. They want to measure everything in hard currency like euros, dollars, pounds, yen, you name it. So how can we measure an ROI the hard way in social media? Because in very, very few cases, we can directly attribute revenue that is caused by social media, especially with awareness campaigns and image campaigns. And what about the cost side? Is social media more efficient? Is social media more effective than maybe other channels? And this is something that we wanted to find out, and this is what we are going to concentrate on in the next couple of slides. So a lot of our clients said still, yeah, we thought we know what kind of content works, but actually we have no idea what's working and what's not. And this is a feedback that I get all over the world. And the most critical thing that we have heard so far, we don't have, internally have the confident data that we need to convince our leaders, to convince our CEOs and CFOs to get more budget, to get a bigger, part of the marketing budget share, to actually make social media grow much more than we did in the past. So that's basically the biggest challenge that we see. And in 2015, us social media marketers now, we don't have to just to beg for budget for content and for community managers and social listening tools. We also now have to ask for extra budget for the ads. So this is where the fight begins between the media part of the company, the media agency, and the social agency sometimes. We need additional funding to post and to boost our posts, basically. So that's the biggest challenge that we see right now, and we have come up with a solution and a methodology that I want to present you in this webinar. So we have looked at the way of, also PR has measured their work in the last couple of years, and not just years, but decades. It used to be called AVE, Advertising Value Equivalent, and we have adapted this idea to social media, and we are actually measuring the earned media value of your social media engagements, of your brands, and what we are enabling you is we can now answer the question, what would I have to pay to achieve the same result in paid media? meaning this kind of measuring in hard currency, in cash, answers you exactly this question, and then you can compare if your social media marketing is efficient, if it's effective. You can compare it between different markets and regions. So the good thing is it also works across channel. We are not looking at arbitrary metrics anymore. We are now looking at cash. We can now exactly tell you if your Twitter account is worthwhile, if your Facebook account is run good, and how your ROI is, especially compared to other digital marketing forms like search engine marketing, display marketing, you name it. So what we have built together with a large FCMG client in the last 3 years is now called Performly. It's a web-based application and a service that we offer, and this answers you all these questions about the ROI of social media. How does it work? So this actually is the most complex but also the most important slide today in our presentation. Basically what we do, we import through APIs, so this is programming interfaces. We automatically import KPIs from your social media channels, so from your Facebook page, from your Twitter channel, and from your YouTube channel. We are counting and importing all these engagements and interactions that happen based on your content. So in concrete, this means we are collecting all the likes, we are collecting all the retweets, we are collecting all the comments that your users, your fans actually do on your Facebook content and your Twitter content and your YouTube content, and count this and put it all in a big database. As well in this database, we do have your cost benchmark data, which is very specific to your brand, your target groups, and very specific to the channel that we are measuring. So to give you an example, when a Facebook fan actually likes a post organically, so without any media spend, we attribute a certain value to this like, to this organic like. We evaluate this by looking at the cost that you actually would have to pay in a paid campaign for this target group in this period of time to achieve the same result. So, and this is the very big distinction and difference between Performly and a social listening platform, because Performly is not a social listening platform, because Performly only looks at the hard KPIs. So it does not look at sentiment. We do not look if content is good, bad, positive, or negative, because we see this is already being done by social listening platforms. But what we do, we also count your social media listening, or in some markets called social media monitoring KPIs. So we have the opportunity to import the mentions and the amount of positive, neutral, or negative mentions, and then evaluate this within Performly, just as we do with your Facebook fan page, for example. To do this, we usually import the clean and already indexed data that we get from your social listening platform of choice. And how does it look like in practice? So this is a lot of theory. We are importing these KPIs, we are evaluating this, and the output is actually a big, nice dashboard in an app. How does it actually look like? So if we look at the next slide, we have an example. We always compare, when we look at content and the value of content, we always put fan acquisition, so the amount of likes and the amount of new fans that this content gained, and compare this and put it in a relation to engagement, to the engagement rate that a content generates. So in this case, this piece of content actually compared the size of a bird with the size of a truck, did not cause too many likes, did not cause too many interactions, very low engagement rate. So in this case, Performly might evaluate this post with €16.50 or like $15 or something like that, because the engagement rate is very low and almost no likes and no fans were actually being produced by this kind of content. The next example could be, a sweet puppy post, could be cat content, very typical, works very well in social media. So we used to call this an easy like. So in this case, this post, in this example by Etsy, might have caused a lot of likes, but very, very little engagement. Because it's an easy like, it's a very cute puppy, everybody goes, oh, this is so cute, people like it, okay. But very, very few people engage with this kind of content, because in most cases, this content actually has nothing to do with the brand and your communication goals that you actually have, and the pure reason why you actually run a Facebook account for your brand. So, but in this case, a little bit more interaction, quite more fans. So Performly might give this post a value of 295 euros. So it's a little bit better. So, but what happens with posts that actually are pretty controversy, posts that actually do not create a lot of likes, but do create a lot of engagement? So we have an example for this too. So this post is a good example for a very controversial post. So it's about the husband hunting season. So if you buy these kind of shoes, you might find the right husband. So this was very offensive to a lot of fans on Facebook. So a lot of discussion, a lot of engagement, but not necessarily positive engagement, and fairly few likes. But Performly would evaluate this and give this a 2,400 euro value in earned media, because the engagement is high and the fan acquisition is fairly low still. And so you might have figured it out already. If you post something on Facebook and you look at it, how does it perform in Performly, you want to be in the upper right quadrant, in the upper right corner. So we have a very good example for this as well. This is a post that was generated by British Airways, and here it's about heritage, it's about history, and this post caused obviously a lot of memories, a lot of good thoughts and good feelings with their fans. So it generated a lot of new fans for them, a lot of new likes, and also actually generated a lot of engagement. So here we look at this post, and we see this post is evaluated at 7,580 euros, for example. So as a community manager, as a social media manager, you can look at the cost now and can calculate the ROI of this post, because you know how much you have, you paid for the production of this post, for the text, for the picture. Maybe if it's a video, you know exactly the production cost of the video. So now you can start to calculate an ROI of your social media efforts. So if you go back to a CFO or to your CMO, you now actually know, okay, this post might have cost us 10,000 euros. So the picture rights, the copy text, some ads that we have spent some money on ads as well. The goal here in this example was to generate 12,500 fans. So we have gained these fans, but all the interaction and all the engagement that was created with this kind of post actually generated interaction and engagement worth of 47,725 euros. So this means you had the invest of 10,000 euros and you get back the media value of 47,000 euros. In here you can calculate an ROI very easily, being 4.7. This is a very good example how we are now able to calculate an ROI on your social media efforts. So with all these information and all these hard KPIs behind every post, behind every social media channel that you run, what's your benefit? What can you do with this information? We can now obviously optimize content, we can optimize when we post something, and we can optimize media budgets. So we are finding out exactly how much media do we need to spend to reach a certain ROI, to reach a certain media value goal. So this is very, very good when it comes to optimize budgets in social media. So next slide, we have some examples here. So on the left side you see a typical table that shows us the earned media value of one Facebook page in one country for 1 month in this example. And the breakdown, the earned breakdown, shows you which interaction, which kind of engagement actually drove the most value, had the most earned media value. And on the right side, you can see another graph that we have within Performly. We can now compare different brands per country. So now imagine you have 10 different brands in one country. You can now have a normalized view on this, so you see exactly how well your content performs for one or the other brand within a market. And this enables you to go back to your agencies, to go back to your social media managers and say, okay, let's take a closer look at the cost and the quality of the content of brand A, brand B, or brand D, and see what can we learn from each other, how can we drive the media value of your social media engagement, and actually do a lot of optimization and performance management with this. We have the same kind of overviews, just as an example, for your Twitter channels. So again, here we have this engagement versus acquisition overview, where you can see in which month the channel worked very well. And as well, here we have a breakdown chart that shows you exactly what's the value of a tweet, the media value of a tweet, what kind of interaction actually drove most value to the brand. You can later look at these slides. They are available for download and can have a closer look at these examples if you wish. And last but not least, of course, we have the same thing for your YouTube channel as well. YouTube is a great channel. Most brands only use it as an outlet. That's the place where they upload the videos that they produce. But also a lot of media value is generated here that we cannot underestimate. So for example, we have analyzed a YouTube channel of a car manufacturer that actually generated hundreds of thousands of euros in media value. So if you go back and talk to your CMO, to your CEO, or if you talk to sponsors, maybe in this case, you really have a euro figure in your hand that you can show. Our YouTube channel generates this and that much reach, okay, but it also generates a media value of a couple of 100,000 euros or a couple of million euros that actually makes it easier for you then to ask for more money for, in this case, sponsorship, or for brands that want to use your video channel to get their message out there. So right now we are rolling out this tool globally. We already have brilliant brands, so we have 3 global automotive clients already on board. With the automotive clients, they are always interested, of course, in lead generation, generating test drives at a low price tag. So this is something that we are measuring here. We do have a global leader in pharmaceutical industry, a national railway system, and this national railway system actually also evaluates the resonance of their content in other social media. So they are using the social listening data module that we offer. We have a leading e-commerce site as one of our clients, a global insurance provider with great content strategy as well, and one of the largest bakeries in South America, actually, that use Performly today. Well, how can we get started with this kind of measuring social media in hard value? It's very easy. We need to get in contact, and then together we can assess how many channels you actually have, how many channels are you running on social media. We do offer a 3-month trial, comes with a certain price tag. We can discuss this as well. And then after the setup period, you have for 3 months, you can test it, trial it, and you know exactly what the values are of your social media channel. And we are supporting you with analysts, with our knowledge, to give you the right recommendations. Maybe we can also give you some input how we would optimize your social media strategy to get the most value out of social media. And at the end of the trial, we sit together and decide, and you can decide if you love the product, if you want to stay with the product, if you want to extend it, or if you need special custom-made modules like sponsorship measurement. Predictive modeling is something that we are looking at right now, or as I said before, measuring the value of your social listening tools. So if you think this is a good idea, if you think these benefits are beneficiary also for your brand, just give me a call, send me an email, or find me on Twitter or on Facebook, and we're happy to talk to you directly. And see you next time. Thank you very much for your time. Yeah, that was the presentation. Thank you for sitting in and leaning back. Now it's time for interaction. At the beginning of this presentation, I showed you this poll on the right side of the window that in your browser. And my question was, what are your social media marketing KPIs? And I'm looking at the results right now. And so number one is engagement rate, not a big surprise. Second one is reach. That's quite a surprise, I think. Conversion rate, so obviously people are using social media also to drive conversions. And then on number 4, we have fans and followers. So that's pretty interesting. And I think this is also pretty good to see that fans and followers are not at the top of the KPI priorities nowadays. So that was the top 3, the top 4. And now we're going to go into your questions. So thank you very much, first of all, for your questions. It's always very, very helpful for me to see your questions. And I'm going to go into answers right now. So the first question we had, can we use Performly as an ad agency to do better business, to better consult our clients, or is this tool restricted only to clients directly? Short answer, of course, yes. As an agency, you can use Performly to service your clients better and to report social media in hard value. So it's not only restricted to clients. As a matter of fact, many clients use it together with their agency to also improve content strategies and media strategies. Question number 2. How much does it cost and how is it priced? So Performly is basically priced depending on the amount of channels that you want to have tracked. So if you have 2 or 3 channels, there's a different pricing than for a full enterprise version, of course, with 20, 30, 50 or hundreds of social media channels. Please send me an email. We're going to have the email in this video. You can read it here, and you can show me or tell me how many channels you want to have measured, and you'll get your proposal very quickly. Next question. Is there an outgoing API possibly to link the insights in an existing marketing performance tracking system? So basically, can we export KPIs and data from Performly into other systems? Short answer, yes, absolutely. The reason is we do have quite many clients that already have very large enterprise solutions where they measure the success all of their marketing campaigns. And of course, Performly is not a singular solution in this context, but we need to make sure that the KPIs and the results that Performly shows get imported in other systems. So we offer an API if you request. The next question, can Performly be used in any market? Yes, of course. As you see, a lot of brands, they do have global Facebook pages. So it's not a country by country thing, or it's for some regions, they have different social media channels. So it's not market specific, and it's worldwide available, yes. Next question. This is a very important question. Trying to grow a small startup company, is there a methodology to employ this tool for a very small social media footprint? Short answer to this one, no. Performly is a tool that is built for large enterprises that usually have invested heavily in the last couple of years in fan acquisition, in content, in various social media channels. So it's more a tool for larger companies with a large footprint in social media. It's not a tool actually for brands that are starting right now in social. But you can contact me directly, and I'm happy to give you some tips, some hints, which tools or which services might be the right ones for you. Next question is, can a brand use Performly even if it doesn't invest in paid social? Yes. Originally, Performly actually was built in times where brands actually could rely on organic reach. So 3-4 years ago, we started developing this, and with a very large FCMG client in a large region of this world, and they only had organic reach at that point. They only had to work with their content, and slowly then started to invest. Now, as you have learned in the presentation, they invest heavily in Facebook, also on paid, but you can of course use Performly even if you don't invest in paid, sure. The next question is, what are the data requirements on behalf of the clients? How turnkey is the solution from your end? Or the thing is, the client basically doesn't have to do anything. We built the platform, the client gets the login credentials and then can work with it. The only thing we need from the client is Insights admin access to their Facebook page and their social media channel on their YouTube channel. So we provide an account, a Performly account, and this Performly account needs to be made Insights admin on Facebook, on YouTube. On Twitter, it's no problem because Twitter data is usually publicly available. So we need access to the insights, and we need to discuss with the client the cost benchmarks. Maybe you remember we talked about the cost benchmarks that we needed that are actually the basis to calculate the earned media value. So here we support the client as well. We propose KPIs, we propose benchmarks, cost benchmarks that we discuss with the client. So the input we need from the client side is absolutely minimal. The next question, can the report differentiate between defined regions or only between languages? This is a very good question for international clients and global brands. So Performly has different reporting tiers. So there's a global perspective, a regional perspective, and a local perspective. So we can analyze by country, by region, by language, whatever you want. Between language, it's not really a question of language, it's a question of how you run your social media channel. So a lot of our clients, they do run global Facebook pages, and then it's more an adjustment of the Facebook page if you divide your world, let's say your Facebook page by languages, by regions. So as you know, if I access a global Facebook page when I'm in China, I might get a different language. Or if my browser and my Facebook is preset in English, I'm going to get an English version. So this is not really a difference, doesn't make a difference for us. We can define these reports by regions and by countries. When checking the performance of specific brands, can you include benchmarks of competitors or industry averages in your reportings? Of course, we can always include industry averages, but it's very, very hard to get a hold of media cost of competitors on Facebook. Of course, there are platforms that are actually very good for doing competitive analysis, but since we do not have access to the advertiser accounts of your competitors, we do not know how much they spend for creation and content curation and other things. It's very, very hard to give a true figure and a very true answer to that. So the answer here is we can include industry averages, but no competition data, no competitive analytics here. The next one, how many brands, competitors can you choose? Again, basically the same question. You can choose all of your own brands, so we can set up for Performly for all of your brands. We can even sort by industry, by vertical, if you're a multinational company, for example. But competitors is a no-go because we do not have access to the competitors' Facebook insights. Next question, this is a very good question again. I'm very happy to receive this kind of feedback and very profound questions, so I know there's the right people online for this webcast. Question is, Do you measure the revenue profit or loss per product, per service versus the total cost of social media or a social campaign? I know this is a typical question. We know if we invest $1 million in TV or we buy that many GRPs, we exactly know how much, how this affects our revenue or our turnover in retail stores. In social, we can do this. I mean, the thing is, it depends on how much people spend on social compared to other campaigns. It's not really very easy to compare the way we can measure the impact of TV with the impact of social, as long social actually only receives the breadcrumbs of the budget. So technically, yes, we can measure this, but you will only see an impact if the invest in social is massive, and meaning massive is in the regions where it's not that much different from TV. And to be honest, I have not seen too many brands that are at that point yet. And this is the last question. Does it work also with Instagram? On our product roadmap, we do have Instagram, we do have Pinterest. The next channel that we will integrate will be LinkedIn. This is also very client-driven, so if you have a massive presence on Instagram, and as soon as Instagram is ready to give us access to the insights of brand pages on Instagram, we will integrate it for you. Just contact us. It's always client-driven, it's always project-based in this case. So whenever, let me know if you need this. Whenever is Instagram ready to give us access to insights, we will have it for you. So these were your questions of today. And before we close this session, I have another poll for you. So the question I published before was, what are your biggest challenges in your job? So the answers that were in there were possible were understand which content works and which one doesn't. The second answer was to fight for media budget is the biggest challenge we had, or to decrypt the correlation between paid and earned. That was one of the answers. Or 4, no problem, I get what I want, I have all the budget in the world. So now imagine what are the results, and thank you very much for the participants. Number 4, basically only 3% said no problem, I get what I want. And I don't know if this is true actually. I know very few brands that always get what they want, or very few people in social. Number 3 was with 21% to decrypt the correlation between paid and earned. We see this very often, that people now need to find an understanding how much they have to spend in paid to get a certain ROI, to reach a certain earned media value. So I can predict this will be number 1 in the next couple of months. But today, number 2 was fight for media budget, so that's not a surprise. A lot of you and a lot of, same on our side, we have lived with great content for the last couple of years, and now it's basically we have to find a way to the media budget and have to talk to the media people in the company and the media agencies to actually support and boost our content. And number 1, which is quite surprising for me, is with 39%, understand which content works. And the interesting thing here is what surprises me. 3 years ago, we went to DMEXCO, and DMEXCO is a very big trade show in Cologne for online marketing, a very international show nowadays as well. And we talked about relevant content, and we talked about you have to have relevant content to be seen and to have resonance and virality, of course, on Facebook. And nowadays, as I said before in the presentation, it's very, very hard to get out any kind of content without media budget. So it's still very hard to understand which content works or which content does not work. But actually with Performly, we can support you and tell you exactly which content format actually drives the most value. So it's not always a question of content type, it's also a question of, is it a video, is it a photo, what kind of year is it, what usually works, because it doesn't really mean what worked 2 years ago works this year. But we're getting closer to answer this question, and we'll talk about this at DMEXCO this year in 2015 in September. We will speak about predictive analytics in social media, because we have found models actually to predict the outcome of social media into the future. So this is very, very cool. So if you have a social media channel that is ongoing for more than, let's say, 2 years, we can analyze this data and then predict the performance into the future. And this is something we're going to talk about later this year. For today, thank you very much for all the great questions and all the interaction. Thank you very much also for participating in the polls. It was great to have you. We will email you a link to this recording and a link to the slide deck that we showed earlier. So we will have all the material that you have seen today to look at it again if you want to share with your colleagues and to get some more deeper knowledge on how to measure the value of social media with the methodology of earned media value. That's all for today. Thank you very much again for joining, and have a great week and have a great summer. See you soon. Bye-bye.